Have you ever felt disheartened by criticism or injustice in life? How can you stay calm and overcome adversity with wisdom? In this video, we'll explore the art of patience and letting go to rediscover inner peace. Real-life stories and profound lessons will help you transform your perspective, live more lightly, and embrace true happiness. At Living Peacefully channel, we not only provide valuable life insights but also inspire you to change your mindset and enhance your quality of life. Don't miss out on meaningful videos from us. Hit like, subscribe to Living Peacefully channel, and turn on the notification bell to join us on this journey of living peacefully and fully. You deserve happiness. Life, like a constantly flowing river, is filled with unexpected twists and turns. None of us can escape the challenges, losses, or suffering that it brings. When faced with such upheavals, our minds are often overwhelmed with questions: should I confront this to overcome it, or let go to ease my heart? This is not merely a mundane query but a profound lesson on consciousness, inviting us to reflect on the essence of life through the lens of Buddhist teachings. In the teachings of Buddhism, all suffering and challenges in life stem from ignorance, the inability to see the true nature of things. When faced with difficulties, we often sink into emotions like fear, anger, or attachment. However, the Buddha taught that instead of avoiding or wallowing in them, we should confront issues head-on, just as one observes murky water to see the sediment settling at the bottom. This is the essence of facing challenges with mindfulness. Yet, facing adversity does not mean bracing oneself rigidly, clinging stubbornly, or confronting reality with sheer willpower. Instead, it is an act of mindfulness, acknowledging everything as it is, without judgment or embellishment. Facing suffering does not mean fighting against it but accepting its presence as an inevitable part of life. This is the lesson found in the Buddha's teaching of the Four Noble Truths. Suffering is a fundamental truth of existence, dukkha, but within it lies the seed of liberation, magga. When we courageously face suffering, we begin to understand its roots and find a path to liberation. However, facing adversity is not the ultimate goal. Facing is for understanding, and once we understand, we must learn to let go of what no longer serves our peace and freedom of spirit. This transformation enables us to naturally transition from facing to letting go, much like removing an old coat that no longer keeps us warm. The Buddha taught that all things in life are impermanent, constantly changing, and operating in their own cycles. If we cling to what cannot be held, our minds will remain bound and burdened. But if we comprehend the impermanence of all things, letting go becomes not an act of painful surrender but a liberating gesture of wisdom. Thus, the question of facing or letting go is no longer a matter of two separate choices but two interconnected aspects of a transformative process within the mind. Facing is for understanding, and letting go is for moving forward. Once we grasp this connection, fear of life's uncertainties dissolves. Whether in hardship or joy, we can face them with mindfulness and let them go with equanimity. In the light of the Buddha's teachings, we come to understand that life does not demand us to choose between facing or letting go. Instead, it offers us the opportunity to practice both, guiding us closer to peace, liberation, and enlightenment. In life, when confronted with difficulties, we often feel fear and helplessness. The mind becomes easily entangled in cycles of worry, judgment, and suffering. From the Buddhist perspective, however, facing challenges is not about force or tension but an act of mindfulness and wisdom. To face something is to deeply observe its true nature, understanding its causes and how it relates to ourselves. The Buddha does not teach us to avoid or deny suffering. Instead, he encourages us to face it with a calm and insightful mind. The Buddha's teaching of the Four Noble Truths serves as the foundation for this approach. First, he explains that suffering is an undeniable truth of life, dukkha. To overcome suffering, the first step is to look directly at it without denial, without resistance. We must recognize that suffering is not an enemy but a teacher, revealing to us the impermanence and the causes of pain, samudaya. By facing it with courage, the truth naturally becomes clear, like sunlight dispersing darkness. Only by understanding the nature of suffering can we embark on the path to liberation and peace, magga. Facing challenges in Buddhism is not merely an intellectual act but a spiritual journey. It is the practice of mindfulness, bringing the mind back to the present moment to observe everything as it truly is without embellishment, without judgment. When we face sorrow or loss, the mind tends to magnify problems or cling to painful memories. However, through mindfulness, we simply observe our emotions without attachment, realizing that pain is merely a transient state of mind. It arises and fades, and it does not define us. As the Buddha said, the mind is like a still lake. If undisturbed, it reflects the clear blue sky. Importantly, facing challenges in Buddhism goes beyond external difficulties. It also involves the courage to confront the shadows within our own hearts, greed, anger, and delusion. Many fear facing these inner struggles, but the Buddha teaches that by lighting the lamp of wisdom and looking at them with compassion and understanding, we can transform them. The story of the Buddha's encounter with Mara under the Bodhi tree illustrates this beautifully. The Buddha neither fled nor fought, he simply acknowledged Mara's presence, observed its nature deeply, and overcame it. This is a profound lesson in facing challenges with mindfulness and compassion. To face a challenge does not mean clinging or being rigid. The Buddha teaches that when we face a problem, we should do so with a non-attached mind, not trying to force or manipulate things to fit our desires. Facing challenges is simply about awareness, allowing things to reveal themselves as they are. In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha says, "Let the mind arise without attachment to anything, yet remain awake and clear." This embodies the spirit of facing challenges with freedom and detachment. Facing challenges is also an act of compassion. When confronting the suffering of others, we should not close ourselves off or avoid it, but instead open our hearts to feel and share their pain. Through this compassion, we not only help others overcome their struggles but also learn how to transform suffering within ourselves. In Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha is always portrayed as someone who listens and faces the pain of sentient beings, not to eliminate it instantly, but to understand it and guide them towards enlightenment. In conclusion, facing challenges in Buddhist philosophy is a journey of understanding, compassion, and liberation. When we approach difficulties with mindfulness and wisdom, we not only resolve problems but also find peace within ourselves. It is a way to live harmoniously with reality, neither avoiding nor clinging, but simply being fully present in every moment of life. In Buddhist teachings, letting go is not merely a simple act but a profound state of liberation that brings true peace to the soul. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibilities, dreams, or attachments to life, but rather releasing the clinging and burdens that weigh down the mind. It is a journey of emancipation, an art of living with genuine freedom. The Buddha taught, if you know how to let go, you will gain everything. If you cling, you will lose it all. This lesson, in its depth, is the path toward ultimate liberation. Letting go begins with understanding the nature of impermanence, a core teaching in Buddhism. Everything in life, from emotions and possessions to relationships, is transient. They are born, exist, and eventually fade away. Yet, humans often mistakenly believe that things are permanent, that they belong to us, and thus cling tightly to them. This attachment becomes the root of suffering. The Buddha said, All phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, and morning dew. When we realize that everything passes like a fleeting dream, our hearts become lighter, and letting go becomes a natural choice. Letting go is not an act of running away or indifference but a mindful action rooted in deep wisdom. In Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha speaks of renunciation, which is to release greed, anger, and delusion states that exhaust and entangle the mind. However, letting go does not mean completely severing oneself from the world but living within it without being bound by it. It is the state of one who has understood and practiced non-self, recognizing that there is no fixed self to hold onto or defend. When we no longer think, "This is mine, this is me," or "This is my essence," we naturally let go of attachments and suffering. Letting go is also a lesson in compassion and forgiveness. When we are hurt by others, our minds often hold onto resentment, turning it into an invisible burden. Yet, the Buddha taught, hatred is never appeased by hatred. Hatred is only appeased by love. This is an eternal law. Forgiveness is a form of letting go, releasing negative emotions to bring tranquility to the heart. Forgiveness is not about pleasing others but liberating ourselves. When we let go of resentment, we discover true peace. Letting go is also a way to return to the present moment. People often live in the past with regret or worry about the future with anxiety. This clinging to what has been or what is yet to come prevents the mind from ever finding true peace. In the Anapanasati Sutra, mindfulness of breathing, the Buddha taught, focus on the breath, on the present, to see clearly all phenomena as they are. By practicing being fully present, we release the burdens of the past and future, allowing us to live freely and fully. Letting go is a lesson in equanimity toward gain and loss, success and failure in life. The Buddha taught that true happiness does not lie in possession but in the ability to let go. When we receive something, accept it with gratitude, but do not cling to it. When something leaves us, release it with equanimity, for this is the natural way of life. A truly free person is not one who possesses everything but one who is not bound by anything. Ultimately, letting go in Buddhist philosophy is not about giving up on life but about living more fully and freely. It is about releasing what is unnecessary to make room for peace and compassion in the heart. When we let go, we do not lose anything, on the contrary, we discover our true nature, a light, serene soul harmonized with the universe. Letting go is not a destination but a journey. This journey invites us to look deeply within, recognize attachments, and gradually release them. Then, when the burdens have been set down, we realize that letting go itself is the gateway to liberation, peace, and enlightenment. Like flowing water, like a bird soaring freely, letting go is the way back to our pure and untainted nature. In the spiritual journey of Buddhism, facing and letting go are not two separate concepts but complementary aspects of a single path leading to liberation and peace. Facing is the act of delving into the essence of a problem with mindfulness and wisdom, while letting go involves releasing the burdens of the soul once understanding is achieved. Without facing, we cannot discern what needs to be let go. Conversely, without letting go, facing becomes an act of clinging, further entangling the mind in confusion and heaviness. The Buddha teaches that all suffering in life originates from ignorance, the inability to perceive the true nature of reality. When confronted with difficulties, people often choose either to avoid or cling to them, but both extremes lead to suffering. Here lies the clarity of the connection between facing and letting go. Facing is the first step in breaking through the fog of ignorance. When we face a problem with mindfulness, we begin to observe it with clarity, realizing that suffering is not an enemy but a natural part of life's flow. However, Facing is not about clinging to or conquering suffering but understanding its impermanence and lack of inherent existence, allowing us to let it go naturally. This connection is vividly illustrated in the Buddha's teaching of the Four Noble Truths. When we face the truth of suffering, dukkha, we must deeply examine its cause, samudaya, recognizing that attachments, greed, and hatred are the roots of all suffering. After this realization, the next step is to let go by walking the middle path, magga, thus freeing ourselves from the bonds of negative emotions. Facing is the beginning, and letting go is the destination, but they are inseparable. Only by facing can we understand what to let go, and only by letting go can we truly attain liberation. A profound example of this connection is found in the story of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree, where he faced Mara, the embodiment of temptations, fears, and mental suffering. The Buddha neither fled nor fought but calmly observed Mara's nature with wisdom and composure. This act of facing allowed him to see that all temptations and suffering were illusory, created by the mind. Through this understanding, he let go of all attachments and attained enlightenment. This timeless lesson reveals the harmony between facing and letting go, a journey from recognition to liberation. The connection between facing and letting go is also evident in the practice of mindfulness. When we face emotions like anger, sadness, or worry, mindfulness allows us to observe them honestly and without judgment. We realize that these emotions are not who we are but transient states of mind, like clouds passing across the sky. This mindful observation is the first step in facing. Mindfulness then helps us gently let go of these emotions without resistance or force. This natural transformation occurs when facing is complemented by letting go. Facing and letting go also teach us the art of balance in life. Facing alone, without letting go, can lead to attachment and entanglement in troubles and suffering. On the other hand, letting go without facing may result in indifference, lacking understanding, and awareness. The Buddha teaches that the middle path, neither extreme asceticism nor indulgence, is the way to maintain balance between these two states. Facing allows us to recognize and understand, while letting go enables us to find freedom and move forward. When these two elements harmonize, we not only experience peace in the present moment but also move closer to liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Life, like a rushing river, constantly presents challenges and changes. Without facing, we risk being swept away blindly by the current. Without letting go, we remain trapped by the submerged rocks of attachment and fear. Facing is to understand the nature of the current, to see that there is nothing to fear. Letting go is to merge with the flow, allowing the soul to be free and at peace. When we comprehend the connection between facing and letting go, we realize that they are not two separate actions but two steps of a single journey, two notes of a harmonious melody. Facing is to understand the essence of reality, and letting go is to release what is no longer needed, leaving the mind pure. This is the path the Buddha taught, a path leading to freedom, peace, and enlightenment. By fully practicing both facing and letting go, we experience a profound tranquility, like a still lake under the moonlight, reflecting the beauty of a clear blue sky. Life, like an endless river, flows through unexpected twists and turns, sometimes calm, sometimes tempestuous. Along this journey, no one can avoid suffering, loss, or challenges. Yet, the Buddha teaches us that within these very trials lies the opportunity to understand ourselves, overcome ignorance, and achieve liberation. Facing and letting go are not isolated actions but integral parts of a spiritual path guiding us to live peacefully amidst life's impermanence. Facing and letting go are not two separate choices but two essential steps in transforming suffering. Facing allows us to recognize the truth, neither avoiding nor concealing it. Letting go helps us release burdens, avoiding attachment or entanglement. When these two harmonize, we live in the world without being bound by it, confronting suffering without allowing it to dominate us. The Buddha once said, "You must strive on your own, enlightened beings only show the way." Facing is to see the path, and letting go is to walk it with a light, free spirit. When we practice facing, we enter a state of mindfulness, realizing that all phenomena are impermanent, nothing lasts forever. Paradoxically, this impermanence becomes the key to unlocking the door to letting go. Understanding that everything we cling to, be it emotions, fame, or relationships, will inevitably change, we cease to hold onto them. This is not a painful abandonment but a wise liberation. Like a traveler gently setting down unneeded luggage, our minds find serenity by releasing what no longer serves our peace and freedom. However, letting go does not mean running away or shirking responsibility. On the contrary, it is an act of wisdom and compassion. It is a way to live fully in each moment, facing reality with courage while freeing ourselves from the chains of expectation and fear. The Buddha taught, "There is no path to happiness, happiness is the path." When we let go of the desire for future happiness and face the present with mindfulness, happiness naturally arises without the need to chase it. Facing and letting go also offer profound lessons in love and forgiveness. Sometimes, we must confront the pain others have caused us to recognize that resentment only harms ourselves. Forgiveness is not weakness but a form of letting go, releasing the burden of hatred to free the heart. Forgiving does not just liberate others, it also liberates us from invisible chains of suffering. Ultimately, facing and letting go is a journey back to ourselves. By facing suffering, we understand its nature. By letting go of suffering, we discover the tranquility of our souls. This is not merely a momentary act but a way of life, a way to navigate the ups and downs of life with unwavering peace and balance. The Buddha once said, "The mind is like a clear lake, when undisturbed, it reflects the pure sky." Facing clears the lake, and letting go keeps it undisturbed by life's tempests. Throughout the journey of life, everyone will face pain and challenges. But through the teachings of Buddhism, we learn that within these struggles lies the key to liberation. We face suffering to see the truth and let go to move forward. This is the profound lesson the Buddha imparted, enabling each of us to traverse life's storms with equanimity and deep wisdom. When we fully embrace both facing and letting go, we will experience true freedom, a state where suffering no longer binds us, and our souls harmonize with the infinite peace of the universe.